My partner has PMDD. Now what? This is the title of my new course that just became available. And for the month of December, I am going to give the first 12 individuals who purchase this program a private session with me to go over all of the modules with them and customize it to their relationship only for the month of December and only the first 12 individuals. This course is specifically designed for partners. If you've ever said to yourself that you want your partner to be more supportive, you wish that they knew more about PMDD, you've been sending them articles and they're really just not changing their behavior. If you're the partner, you've read more about PMDD, but it's not giving you the actionable tools on how you can get your relationship to be better, to reduce that stress in your relationship. If you're even on your last leg and you're saying, Dr. Rose, I don't know if we're going to make it because we've gone through so many fights, we've gone through so many arguments in PMDD, we're really close to fearing the next month in PMDD because we barely made it last month, and you're feeling like you need the actionable tools as the partner on how to be more supportive and then also get your needs met. Because I know that partners go through so much when they're in PMDD and they need a place to really process that and really understand what am I doing wrong and stop beating yourself up. And most of all, stop walking on eggshells. This program is designed so that both the partner who has PMDD and the partner who doesn't, to stop walking on eggshells within your relationship and get back to that place of having the peace. Because that's one of the biggest things that PMDD can take away from your relationship because of why the chaos and confusion of not really understanding what to do in PMDD, what happens in the luteal phase, what do I need to do? What do I need not to do? What are the mistakes that I'm making? This course is going to give you all the information that you need. It's going to go through the PMDD symptoms. It's going to go through the number one partner mistake. It's going to go through intimacy, attachment styles, family dynamics, friends and families. And then most importantly, I am giving you my signature 6 characteristics of a supportive PMDD partner. And I'm giving you the actionable tools on how you can start implementing those within your relationship. So I'm looking forward to the first 12 individuals. You'll be able to book a session with me that is going to be complimentary with this program, along with all of the workbooks, the tools, everything that you need is in this program. And it's called My Partner Has PMDD. Now what? I look forward to hearing about the transformation that you get from this course. I'll see you in there. We got this. So today we're going to be continuing our series on abusive PMDD partners. Last episode, we talked about the partner who did not have PMDD. And today we're talking about the partner who has PMDD and whether your PMDD partner is abusive. I first want to preface and say that when I say PMDD partners, I am talking about if you are in a relationship and premenstrual dysphoric disorder is present, then you are both PMDD partners. Okay. So I want to just get that out of the way so that you understand that when I say PMDD partner, I'm talking about the partner who has PMDD and the partner who doesn't have PMDD. You're both partners in the relationship. Premenstrual dysphoric disorder is something that is impacting both of you in the relationship. And if you don't know that by now, read my dissertation and really recognize how much it impacts the partner as well. I know so many times when we, as the ones who are suffering with PMDD, we tend to think that everything is on us and we're the only ones that are impacted by premenstrual dysphoric disorder. But I know after counseling hundreds and hundreds of partners, how much they are impacted by our cyclical symptoms every single month. And I always like to bring that to the forefront to just help you understand that PMDD is not something that only impacts one individual when you are in a relationship. It absolutely impacts the both of you. And that's why I'm always giving you tools for the both of you, because I know how hard it is for the partner with PMDD. And I know how hard it is for the partner who doesn't have PMDD. And I really want to talk today about when you are suffering in PMDD, how it can cause your partner to suffer. And so this abusive behavior, I want to say that it can be conscious, meaning you know what you're doing. And normally, when it gets to the point where you're being abusive towards your partner and you know what you're doing, there's one or two things that are happening. One, you've gotten so used to acting this way, and your partner literally has threatened to leave, but they haven't gone anywhere. So you're kind of, the ego is really rising up in you where you're feeling like they're not really going anywhere. You're lowering your treatment towards your partner because you're genuinely feeling like they're not going anywhere. They have so much love for you, they have so much devotion to you, for this relationship, maybe because it's the kids, maybe it's because of, religious reasons, whatever it is. You don't have a fear that you're actually going to lose your partner. You're in that comfort zone of, no matter how I treat my partner, they're not going anywhere. And when you're in that mode, you have to be very careful because you stop pausing, which is one of the biggest symptoms that are one of the biggest tools that I give you, as my private client. And I've taught you on here before. You don't pause before you speak to your partner when you're suffering in PMDD. You don't pause before you act out and do something, go off on PMDD rage. There's no pause. There's no pause because there's this level of familiarity. So when you become too familiar with your partner, this is where the abusive treatment comes in, because you're so familiar, you know their flaws, you know what they haven't done. So you almost don't feel guilty for doing the things that you're doing to them. It makes it easier for you to be abusive towards your partner. Number one, because you're suffering with PMDD, but number two, because you're thinking about all the things that they've done to you. So you're literally thinking to yourself, oh, well, what's the big deal about me yelling at them? They yelled at me all the time. Or what's the big deal about me pushing them? They push me all the time. Like, there's this abusive behavior that has become so familiar and so toxic within your relationship, within your PMDD relationship, because you've both opened the door for abusive treatment. So it's become this level of nobody's wrong because we're both wrong. Like, you can't call the other person out if you've done the same behavior. So there's almost like, oh, you're going to say something about me yelling at you while I'm in PMDD. Well, you yelled at me last week. Or what about you? Your partner starts to point out things that you've done. And so now you don't even feel justified in saying, hey, I don't want you to treat me this way, because you've been receiving that treatment. So it almost feels like it's justified. So this is how PMDD relationships can get very toxic. And by the time you maybe come to counseling sessions with me, there's a lot of toxicity. There's a lot of hurtful words that have been said. There's a lot of hurtful actions that have been said. And there's a lot of hurtful behavior that's been done. And now you're living within the realms of that being normal. The normal fluctuation of PMDD coming into the relationship is opening the door for abusive treatment. And now you're beginning to think, this is just how we are. This is how it's always going to be because my partner has PMDD. So I guess this is the realm that we're living in, until you get to the point where you're just so helpless as a partner who doesn't have PMDD, because you genuinely don't know how to get yourself out of this cycle of abuse within the relationship. And so I'm going to talk today about the partner who has PMDD being abusive in the PMDD relationship. And I just want to start off with myself because, I've suffered with PMDD for over 18 years now, almost going on 19. And even before I went on my journey of becoming a doctor specifically for PMDD, I was in a lot of relationships where I exhibited a lot of abusive behavior when I was suffering in my symptoms. And mine was that's how I know that you can get into the realm of feeling justified for doing some of this abusive behavior. And I would say the biggest one that I did was shutting down. I've talked a little bit about, well, actually a lot about having an avoidant attachment style. That was pretty much my go-to. I was saying in my previous relationships that I had an avoidant attachment style when I got into PMDD, and that PMDD made me have an avoidant attachment style. So that was justifying my abusive behavior, which is what we talked about on the last episode, which is that emotional neglect. So there would be times when my partner would really need me, really want me to open up, really want me to lean in, and I would refuse to do it. And I would just, be on the realms of, oh, I have an avoidant attachment style when I'm in PMDD. So that's why I can't show up for you in the relationship. So the first sign that you have abusive behavior as someone who is suffering with PMDD in your relationship is blaming PMDD for your abusive behavior. That is what I was doing. I was saying, I felt like it was justified. I'm like, you know what? I'm suffering in PMDD. The best way that I know how to, manage my symptoms is to avoid all of the stress that's going on in this relationship. And so consistently using PMDD as an excuse for controlling, manipulative, or harmful actions. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, where's the controlling? Where's the manipulative? Where's the harmful actions? Well, emotional neglect is harmful for the partner. Right. And so this took a while for me to really swallow my pride, swallow my ego, not point the finger, not get defensive, and really understand the damage that I was doing in my previous PMDD relationships when I would go into PMDD, because you can get very selfish. Having PMDD, because you're suffering so much, you kind of think like it's you against the world. Like, I need to manage these symptoms, and whatever it takes for me to manage these symptoms, manage my suffering, that's what I should be able to do, whether I'm in a relationship or not. So an example is this is saying, it's my PMDD that made me shut down on you, while refusing to take accountability or seek help. And so this can go the other way when you're starting to yell at your partner, when you're going off on them on PMDD rage, instead of taking accountability and saying, I'm sorry I talked to you like that. I really shouldn't talk to you like that. I respect you. I value you. I shouldn't speak to you that way. You're saying things like, it's my PMDD that made me yell at you. And here's one thing that I want to say, and I'm saying this with all the love. This is a tough love episode for those who have PMDD. So if you're in PMDD and you're a little bit triggered right now, I get it, because it was triggering for me too. What I want to say is, PMDD doesn't make you do anything. It doesn't make you yell at your partner. It doesn't make you go off on your partner. It doesn't make you put your hands on your partner. It is your reaction to the PMDD symptoms that is the cause of any abusive behavior that you've exhibited to your partner. It's not about PMDD. It's about your reaction to the PMDD symptoms. And this is why I'm saying, there was another episode I did with Chris, and he was basically saying how dangerous it was for leaving PMDD untreated. And by untreated, it means if you're experiencing PMDD symptoms and you're exuding a lot of abusive behavior, that means your PMDD symptoms are untreated, meaning you don't have any active tools that you're using, that you're working with somebody with, that is preventing you from being abusive in your relationship. And I know a lot of times you're thinking to yourself, oh, my partner's grown, they should be able to handle this and all these things. I have seen the PMDD abusive behavior in the relationship even trickle down to the parental relationship. So when I'm talking about relationships, I'm talking about all relationships, meaning you're yelling at your kids, you're going off on your kids, you're snapping at your kids, you're shutting down on your kids. That is that emotional neglect. And you're blaming it on PMDD. Well, you know that I'm suffering in PMDD. And so you're getting into that realm where I would always say, like, for a lot of my private clients, if you're not willing to get help for your partner, at least get help for your children. Because the same way that you treat your partner, eventually you're going to start to treat your children that way. And for those of you who are in that middle area where you're exhibiting abusive behavior towards your partner, but you kind of cross the line and you have a little bit more patience for your children, that's only sustainable for a short period of time, because cognitively, you're training your brain that whenever you're in PMDD, whenever you're experiencing PMDD symptoms, whenever you're stressed, whenever you're overwhelmed, the reaction to those symptoms is abusive, is verbally and or physically abusive. And it does progress over time. So even if you're able to hold it in right now, at some point, it is going to trickle down to all of the other relationships that you have in your life. It's going to trickle down to your friendships. It's going to trickle down to your coworkers. And so I've always said that, how is it that you're able to go to work and your boss is triggering you, your coworkers are triggering you, you're looking at them, you're feeling like they're talking about you, you're not really knowing whether they're talking about you, you're feeling really paranoid. They're triggering you, but you have the propensity to hold back, and you don't exhibit any of that abusive behavior to them. But if you come home and your partner triggers you, all of a sudden you're going off on them. How do you have the capability to hold it in when you're at work, but you don't have the capability to hold it in when you're at home? This is what I'm talking about as far as your reactions to PMDD, not just about what they're doing to trigger you, but your actual reactions. So when I'm talking about, it's not just the PMDD that is making you do anything. It doesn't make you. And once you recognize that, you can really get into the realm of stop using PMDD as an excuse to be abusive to your partner. And again, I'm saying this with all the love in my heart, because I have PMDD and I have done it. And I had to just really come to terms with, you know what? My partner doesn't deserve this. Number one, it's not my partner's fault that I have premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It's not my fault. It's not my partner's fault, but it is my responsibility to manage. That is the phrase that I always tell you. PMDD is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to manage. And when you're in a relationship, again, partner relationship, parental relationship, you have a responsibility of being emotionally and mentally healthy for your partner. And if you are not in a place of being able to do that on your own, it is your responsibility to get help with doing that. And not just get help after you've gone off on your partner, not just get help after the fact. But if you know that you're trying to stop and you really don't like the way that your behavior even feels after the fact, like you come out of PMDD and you think about the behavior that you've done, you know, deep, 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 deep down that it's abusive and it's not something that they actually deserve, and you want to stop and you can't, it is your responsibility to get help with that. Just think of PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, as any other disorder that you would have. You wouldn't just let a rash just grow on your arm every single month and not put any ointment on it, not go to the store, not go to the pharmacy and get help for it, not let something, or you wouldn't let something just fester in your life that is bringing you pain and discomfort. And that's why I say PMDD is so hard, because it's not something that people can always see physically. So they literally feel like they can just cover it up. They can stuff it down. They can pretend that they don't have it. They can just suffer through it because it's not something physical. I guarantee you that if PMDD, and I thought about this the other day, if PMDD was something that showed up physically on our bodies, like we broke out in hives or we broke out in whelps all over our face, all over our body, we would be going straight to get help. And we wouldn't be in this place of just saying, oh, I'm just going to leave my PMDD untreated. No. But I want to tell you that the fact that PMDD attacks your mind, it attacks your mental health, it does a lot more damage than something that would happen physically. Physically, something happens on the outside of your body. You can get it covered up. You can put some ointment on it and it goes away. When something is impacting you mentally, this is when the intrusive thoughts are going on, and it cycles in your brain again and again and again. It affects every single area of your life. If things are not going right in your relationship, you're not going to be able to enjoy every single area of your life unless you've mastered disassociation. Right. So the next sign that you are being abusive or you're showing abusive behavior within your PMDD relationships, if you're having those unpredictable emotional outbursts and you're not apologizing for your actions. So am I blaming you, shaming you, criticizing you for having the emotional mood swings in PMDD? No. If your emotional mood swings result in verbal or emotional abuse, and it is followed by no effort to manage your symptoms or apologize, that's what makes it abusive. It's not just that you feel like you're triggered by your partner or you feel like you're triggered by your symptoms. It's not the feeling of the trigger that I'm telling you that is abusive. It is no effort to manage your symptoms. Meaning if you did something last month or you did something this month and you're like, I said something below the belt. I crossed the line on something that I did, and you're not trying to do something different this month so that it doesn't happen again next month. That's what I mean by not being able to manage your symptoms. Or if you haven't gone to your partner and genuinely apologized for your behavior. Number one, that means you have a problem with your ego. You're letting your ego take over and making you feel like it's okay to be abusive. And what I will say is, if you do not manage your ego, and what I mean by the ego is that side of you that feels like you're justified in your abusive behavior. You're feeling like, oh, that's what they deserve, or they're big enough, or they should be able to handle themselves. I remember for me, when it came to my avoidant attachment style that I had in PMDD, my ego was the thing that was keeping me feeling like it was okay, because I was like, well, I'm not being avoidant towards my daughter. I'm not being avoidant towards, my clients or my coworkers or all these other things. My partner should be able to manage my reactions to PMDD. That was the most distorted level of thinking that I have ever been in my life, is thinking that my partner should be able to be built with the tools to manage my reactions to PMDD. This is why I created the program. My partner has PMDD. Now what? Because I saw in my own partner, I literally saw, and if you go back on the episodes, I'll tell you about the time where I was at a cabin with my ex-partner and I saw how much my reactions to PMDD was impacting my partner's mental health. And I saw him break down. Literally, a grown man broke down because of the mistreatment, that the abusive treatment that I was exhibiting because I was suffering in PMDD. And I don't want you to feel like if you have the propensity to shut down, that it's less damaging than going off. Those are two ends of the spectrum, and they're both abusive. So just because you shut down and you don't go off doesn't mean that you're being less abusive, because you can start to rationalize that and be like, well, at least I'm not going off on them. At least I'm not saying what I really feel like saying. At least I'm not doing what I really feel like doing. No, it doesn't make it any better because when you emotionally neglect your partner, it's like I call it leaving them alone with their thoughts. So whatever thoughts, fears, doubts, insecurities, jealousies, anything that your partner has inside of them in those moments that you're experiencing PMDD, and you're shutting down on them and you're not helping easing any of those thoughts, you're not helping easing any of those emotional and mental symptoms, but you're almost adding to them because you're confirming what they're fearing in their mind. If they're scared of you leaving them and you're shutting down on them, you're confirming that the possibility of you leaving is a fact. And so you're making their fears become a reality. You're making them feel worse and worse and worse about themselves genuinely by not doing anything. So an example of this could be berating your partner for minor mistakes and then acting like nothing happened. So you're going off on your partner and telling them that they're not being supportive, telling them that they're making your PMDD symptoms worse, telling them all these things, and then later on acting as if nothing happened, waking up in the morning and saying good morning and expecting them to give you the love, affection, attention, validation that you're needing while you're in PMDD and wondering why, maybe you're coming on sessions with me and saying, my partner's not being supportive, they're not giving me the affection that I need, or they're not doing this. And I always ask, well, number one, are you meeting your partner's needs? Meaning if you shut down on them emotionally, if you're neglecting them mentally and emotionally, and then you're expecting them to be giving and pouring into you, that's the first mistake. Number two, have you been abusive? Have you gone off on them? Have you made them feel bad about themselves? Have you criticized them and blamed them and shamed them for things that they've done or not done? And then expecting them to be emotionally open to you. It doesn't work like that. You don't have the ability to be verbally abusive to your partner and then be mad that they're not showing you affection. Of course, they're not showing you affection. Of course, they may be avoiding the relationship now because you've been abusing them. And that's a hard fact to come to. But a lot of times when you're complaining about the things that are going on with your partner and saying that they're not being supportive and saying that they're not giving you the things that you need in the relationship, really ask yourself, really be honest with yourself. Am I being the type of partner that is deserving of the type of affection, attention, validation that I am asking for? Am I being the type of partner that is deserving of the type of support that I'm asking for? Am I being that version that they want to be supportive with me? Because a lot of times you're asking for something that you genuinely don't deserve. And what I mean by that is you've not apologized for the way that you spoke to them yesterday or the other day, or you haven't apologized for the way that you shut down on them. Here's what I want to tell you. If you shut down on your partner, if you have the propensity to go into this avoidant attachment style, if that's what you want to call it, right? For me, I just knew that the way that I was suffering with my PMDD, I tended to isolate, right? I used to say to my partner, like, don't take it personal. I just need to isolate. This is the way I deal with my symptoms. I had the responsibility of still being a partner in the relationship, and I completely neglected that for my own selfish reasons of trying to manage my PMDD symptoms. And that's the way that I justified it. And that did so much damage because it let my partner know that when it was times that he was suffering the most, I wasn't there for him. I chose to go inward. I chose to focus on me. I chose to deal with me. And then isolated. I isolated at a time that they needed me the most. And so it was preventing my partner from maintaining a healthy relationship with me or pursuing any interest outside of the relationship, because it's almost like I wanted to do things on my own, but I wasn't recognizing how much it was impacting my partner. And so I was pretty much like, you can go do whatever while I'm isolating, but they can't enjoy their life, enjoy hobbies and things that they enjoy if they feel like you're not there for them. Again, it impacts every other area of their life. So until you get to the point where you're apologizing and you're literally saying, you know what, I shouldn't have shut down on you. Here's what I want to know, or want to let you know, that can really fix this, right? When you're getting to the point where you let the ego go, you let the pride go, and you're saying, I genuinely want to fix this. I want to stop shutting down on my partner. I want to stop being emotionally abusive to them. All they need is for you to open up. All they need is for you to lean in and be loving. And I know that's really hard to do when you're in PMDD and you're suffering with your symptoms. But for the partner that is experiencing a lot of that emotional neglect, they just want you to open up so that they know it's okay. And a lot of times, physical touch is the way that you can fix this. So if you're listening to this and you're like, Dr. Rose, this is me. It's me, like the Taylor Swift song, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me, I do this, I don't want to do this, then I want you to develop this habit of leaning in and being loving as a way of stopping yourself from shutting down, as a way of, I had to force myself to do it the first couple of times because what you're doing is you're really rewiring your PMDD brain. You're training your PMDD brain that when you're stressed, when you're overwhelmed, you're not shutting down on your partner. You're not neglecting them, but you're leaning in and choosing to be loving at a time where you genuinely don't feel like it. And I know you've done it with your kids. I know you've done it with your coworkers. I know you've stopped yourself from saying a lot of things that you've wanted to say at work, or stop yourself from snapping on your children. I know you've done it. If you're a parent, if you work in the workforce or whatever, I know you have the ability to do it. It's just this level of comfortability that you have with your partner where you're almost thinking that you don't have to. Like somewhere in your PMDD brain, it's telling you that you don't have to do this extra work in order to be with your partner. And I know a lot of that is coming from the fact of, like I said in the beginning, of your partner threatening to go somewhere, threatening to do something, and they genuinely not following through. So you're no longer in that place of being like, I better get it together or I'm going to lose my partner. Because when that fear is gone, the disrespect begins. The lack of fear of losing your partner becomes the disrespect, where you're genuinely disrespecting your partner and you're not even feeling bad about it. So the next one is gaslighting. Remember, I talked about on last episode about gaslighting for the partner that doesn't have PMDD. I'm going to talk about gaslighting when you do have PMDD. So if take mine, for example, if you're in that realm of shutting down on your partner and they're telling you, if they're telling you like, I don't like it when you shut down, or you always go in your hole, or you're always doing this and you're just not being emotionally responsive and it's really, really hurting me. Gaslighting would be denying or minimizing your abusive actions while you're in PMDD and making your partner question their reality. So an example of this, after an abusive episode where you've gone off on them or you shut down on them, you may say something like, you're exaggerating. I wasn't that harsh. Or you're so sensitive. Why don't you just man up? Why don't you deal with your symptoms on your own? Like, why don't you, like, I'm the one with PMDD. Why are you complaining? Like, what are you going through? Like, what's going on with you that's so horrible? I'm the one that's suffering with PMDD. You don't even have PMDD. Like, why don't you just be there for me? Why don't you just be supportive for me and stop putting extra stress on me by pretty much holding you accountable for your actions? And so you're getting into that realm of making your partner feel like they can't openly say what it is that you're doing that is harming them while you're experiencing PMDD. And then you're making it seem like there's nothing you could do about it. What do you want me to do? I have PMDD. I didn't ask for this. Right. So now you're in the realm of saying, listen, this is how I'm going to be. If you want to be with me, take it or leave it. And then this is maybe where you're threatening. You're threatening to leave because you're like, listen, if you can't deal with me while I'm in PMDD, then I don't know what to tell you. So now you're making it seem like you don't care whether they stay or go. And so the next way that you can be abusive in your PMDD relationship is using guilt as a weapon. So you're manipulating your partner with guilt, especially around their role of being a supportive PMDD partner. What this means is you've done something, one of the two things, right? So whatever category you're in, and I want you to really be honest with yourself. Are you the type that would go off on your partner? Or are you the type that would shut down on your partner? And that is the easiest way to figure out which realm that you've gone in. And I know if you have PMDD, you've done one or both of them. So pick a side. And then you're saying things like, if you really loved me, you deal with my PMDD no matter how I treated you. Like, if you really loved me, if you were really committed, it wouldn't matter how I talk to you because you would just understand that I'm suffering in PMDD. And you wouldn't keep making me explain myself, apologize, do all these things because I'm the one with the disorder. Like, I didn't ask for, you think I want to be in PMDD? You think I want to go off on you? You think I want to do that? Like, this is what I mean. That's abusive behavior because you're using guilt as a weapon. You're making them feel like they can't hold you accountable for your abusive behavior because you have PMDD. And the next one I'm going to talk about is the physical aggression. Okay. Listen, what I will tell you is that sometimes with the physical aggression, it's sporadic, meaning it's happened like you've had one big blow up and then it's turned physical. Number one, it may have been a wake up call for you. And what I mean by that is you've never thought that you would put your hands on your partner. And then you've gotten into PMDD and you put your hands on your partner. So you're resorting to physical violence or intimidation during PMDD episodes because you can get to the point, and this is what I've seen, is that you get to this point once you've asked your partner to leave you alone. Maybe you've said, I don't want to talk about this right now. I don't want to do this right now. So you start breaking things, you start slamming doors, you start physically restraining your partner, all of these things because you're trying to get them to listen to you. And maybe your partner is saying, no, we need to talk about this right now. I really want to know what's going on and blah, blah, blah. And then you felt like you had to resort to physical violence as a way of getting your partner to understand. And this is how it's abusive because you can really justify it and say, I would have never gotten to that point if you wouldn't have pushed me. If you would have just left me alone, I never would have gotten to this point. So this is when it's abusive because you're starting to justify that the reason that you put your hands on your partner, the reason that you're breaking things. I want to tell you that physical abuse is not just putting your hands on your partner. It is actually the physical act of showing violence, meaning you're breaking things, you're slamming doors, you're creating that fear within your partner that is showing them that it can get physical. So a lot of times you may say, I'm not being physically abusive. I didn't put my hands on my partner. Yeah, but you slapped the phone out of their hand. You grabbed the phone out of their hand. You threw their phone across the room. You broke it. You've broken things. You slammed doors. You've yelled at them in an aggressive way. That is physically abusive because you're showing the physical reaction to you experiencing PMDD symptoms is associated with physical action. And in those situations, your partner doesn't know if you're going to hit them or not. The same fear that they would have if you already hit them can still be there because they're seeing you physically react to something and they're seeing that it's coming out of your body. So that fear is still there. So it's still physically abusive. And so I really want you to think about that. And I know, again, this is not to blame you. This is not to shame you, but it is a way of letting this be a wake up call, letting this be a wake up call for you to just really understand. And if you're listening to this and you're saying, Dr. Rose, this is me, go to inlovewithpmdd.com and you need to get those PMDD relationship reset sessions for the partners that have PMDD. And what those reset sessions are going to do is really repair a lot of the damage that has been done by this abusive behavior. This is something that you cannot brush over. This is something where you can't just continue on in your relationship and think that your behavior in the past is not going to have impacted them. There's no way that the behavior that you've done in the past cannot impact moving forward. It's going to come back up. And so until you uncover the past traumatic experiences that have happened, because that's really what it's become. When you've been abusive in your PMDD relationship or your partner has been abusive, it has created this environment where it is very traumatic, where your partner can be remembering, they can get jumpy. I've seen it where they can get jumpy if you raise your arm or you do something like you say something or you raise your tone and they're literally jumping because they don't know if that abusive behavior is going to come out again. And so the next way that, you can be abusive in your PMDD relationship is controlling behavior, dictating how your partner should behave is often claiming it's to help avoid triggering them during PMDD, meaning you're telling them, if you don't want to trigger me in PMDD, you can't do this and you can't do that. You can't have space on your own. You can't go to the store, insisting that your partner can't go out, insisting that your partner can't spend money, insisting that your partner can't engage in certain activities because it's going to cause you stress because you get jealous, you get insecure in PMDD. So now you're telling your partner you can't do these things because they're going to trigger me in PMDD. You're controlling the way that your partner behaves because of it triggering you. So you're controlling them. Controlling them is an abusive behavior. And when you're getting into that realm of controlling everything that your partner does, your partner's going to get bitter. Your partner's going to get resentful, and it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable for you to stay in the realm of controlling your PMDD partner without your PMDD partner getting smothered and wanting to get the heck up out of there, or getting bitter and resentful and starting to treat you like crap because they're like, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying in this relationship, but you're not going to have any intimacy. You're not going to have any attention, affection, validation because you're controlling them and it feels forced. It's like, oh, my partner's not saying that they love me and they're not doing this because they feel like they're a robot, because they feel like they're walking on eggshells, right? That's what I said my program is for. My partner has PMDD. Now what? It's to help partners to stop having to walk on eggshells in their PMDD relationships. And a lot of times they're walking on eggshells because they have experienced so much abusive behavior that they feel like they don't want to trigger you to the point that you're going to be abusive again. So they're walking on eggshells. They don't know what to say, what to do, what not to do in order to experience that abusive behavior, because they're feeling like at any moment, my partner can be abusive. And so within that program, it's really giving the partners the opportunity to learn the tools of what they can do to sustain themselves during PMDD. Because what they do in PMDD is something completely from what I would give my clients that have PMDD symptoms to do. So if this is something that you know that you need, it's still the month of December. I am having those private sessions. There's about 7 left at this point. What happens is you purchase a program and then you get a complimentary private session where I customize all of the modules to your specific PMDD relationship. We are in the last days of this offer. This is the only time this year that I'm offering the private sessions that are going to be accompanying the program. So make sure you press pause, go get the program, and then come back and listen to the rest of the episode. So the next way that you can be abusive in your PMDD relationship as the partner who has PMDD is a lack of boundaries, meaning you're refusing to respect your partner's boundaries during PMDD. Say if your partner is trying to give you space because maybe you're going off on PMDD, or maybe they're refusing to participate in a conversation that you're having because they feel like it's going to be abusive. They feel like you're starting to yell, you're starting to get agitated, you're starting to get in that place of having those heightened emotions that is going to turn into that PMDD fight. And so what they're doing is saying, "Hey babe, I'm not going to talk to you about this right now, right?" And instead of you respecting their boundaries that they're trying to put up so that it doesn't turn into another traumatic fight or argument, you're demanding that constant attention and disregarding your partner's need for space. If your partner's trying to walk away during a fight or an argument and you're stopping them, you're literally stopping them from walking away, then you're disregarding their boundaries and you're exhibiting abusive behavior in the PMDD relationship, because you're stopping them from setting that boundary that's going to make them feel safe. Because a lot of times when your partner is walking away in the middle of a fight and an argument, they're not feeling safe. So they're walking away in order to get back into that safe place. They're walking away so that they can get to the point where they're like, okay, I feel safe. I'm going to wait till she calms down. I'm going to wait until she's in a place where she can make better decisions. Like they're trying to help you not go off on them and do more damage in the PMDD relationship, but you're not respecting that boundary. You're making them feel like they have to stay there. You're making them feel stuck in a situation where they're not feeling safe. And what's going to happen is their nervous system is going to be wrecked. Their cortisol levels are going to be so heightened. They're going to be so stressed. They're going to be so overwhelmed. I've had private clients that have had panic attacks during this time. This is how abusive it is. They have a panic attack because you are forcing them to stay in a situation where they do not feel safe. And so the next way that you can be, abusive in the PMDD relationship is denying the need for the counseling sessions or strategies to manage the PMDD, where your partner may be coming to you and saying, this is ridiculous. Like this last month in PMDD was crazy. We really need to have sessions with Dr. Rose. Like we really need to get a handle on this. We really need to make a plan for when you go into PMDD next month, because I don't want to go through this again. And then you're saying, I don't need to have sessions. I don't need to have private sessions. And you're making comments like, this is just who I am, without attempting to improve your actions by any way. You're not trying to improve anything. You're just like, this is just who I am. I'm suffering in PMD. Like, if you don't like it, you can leave. So not only are you denying getting help, but you're letting them know that not only are you not going to get help, but if they keep badgering you and pressuring you to get help, that you're going to leave. So now you're threatening them to leave. And so I just really want you to understand that if you do exhibit this abusive behavior, this doesn't mean that you can't be with your partner. This doesn't mean that you need to throw the whole relationship away. I know a lot of times when you're getting into that realm of breaking up with your partner every month, that you're saying they would just be so much better off without me. Like I'm just, there's too much damage. There's too much damage that has been done. They should just be with someone else. And so that's also an abusive behavior, because you're threatening to leave as a way to control the situation. If you can't handle me at my worst, maybe we shouldn't even be together. If you can't handle me during PMDD, maybe we just shouldn't be together. So the impact of this is that your partner feels emotionally blackmailed. They feel trapped. They feel like they can't hold you accountable for anything that you're saying and doing in PMDD. That's emotionally blackmailed, and they feel trapped. They feel trapped because they love you. They know they want to be with you. They don't want to go anywhere. So they feel trapped in order of really feeling like they have to accept this abusive behavior if you want to be in a relationship with them. So it can really trickle off into other areas of your relationship, such as finances, right? When we're talking about things like finances and kids, this abusive behavior can go into every realm of your PMDD relationship. So, say, for example, you're insisting on controlling the finances to avoid the stress. You're like, I need to control the finances. I need to, because I need to know where the money's going, all of the things. And you're saying things like, you don't understand how PMDD makes me anxious about money. I'll just handle the money from now on. So then your partner feels powerless and excluded from any important decisions. You could do the same thing with kids. I'll just handle the kids. I guess I'll just do everything on my own. You're having this kind of OCD where you're feeling the need to control everything within the relationship. And you're saying just because you just can never do it right. So you're making your partner feel devalued and not important. You're making them feel like they can't do anything right. So basically, you're doing everything on your own because you're demanding that you do everything on your own, but then you're blaming them for not taking any of the responsibilities. And so when you get into the realm of complaining and criticizing your partner, instead of taking accountability for that, and even if you wait until the follicular phase and taking accountability, the abusive behavior is, I don't have to apologize. That was just the PMDD talking, or that was just my PMDD, or how I am when I'm in PMDD. So you're not willing to take accountability at social events. This is really huge where especially around the holidays. We're really getting into the holidays, and this is where a lot of the abusive behavior can even happen in groups of people. You're with friends, you're with family, and you snap at your partner in front of other people. Can you just stop being so annoying? Everybody can see how ridiculous you're acting. So your partner feels ashamed, they feel disrespected, and they feel like they can't even respond or say anything because then they're going to be the bad guy. Or maybe you're in the realm of during the holidays, you're just using PMDD as a leverage for control. So maybe your partner's wanting to go to these events that you've already planned to go to with friends and family, and you're saying, "Oh, I don't feel like I can handle it in PMDD. Like I don't feel like I have the energy to go." And so you're kind of demanding that your partner stay home and support you. Like if you were supportive, you could just stay home. Like if you loved me, you would cancel your night out. I can't handle being alone right now. Like I need you to be here with me. So then your partner's going to feel isolated and obligated to prioritize your needs over their own. So now you're in this situation where your partner doesn't feel like they can even be social. They can't go out. They can't enjoy anything because it impacts your PMDD symptoms. And you're saying, I just need you to be with me. I just need you to be with me right now. So they're feeling controlled. They're feeling manipulated. They're feeling trapped. They're feeling like they're walking on eggshells and they're just at the mercy of you and PMDD. That is the best way to describe it. This is how, because I've counseled hundreds of partners, and this is what they're telling me. They feel like they're at the mercy of you and PMDD. And I'm not telling you this so that you break up with your PMDD partner. I'm not telling you this to confirm that they would be better off without you, or maybe they should just be with someone who doesn't have PMDD. I'm not telling you this for that purpose. I'm telling you this as a wake up call that if you know that you're exhibiting that abusive behavior, you don't have to give up on the relationship. You do not have to break up, but this should be something where you're saying, Dr. Rose, I don't want to continuously be abusive with my PMDD partner. So I'm willing to get the help. So the first thing that you can do is go get that program. And I would say go through the program together so that you can see the tools that I have developed for the partners. My partner has PMDD, now what? And then you can have those private sessions. Give your partner something that they can do. This is a way of giving back. I used to have private sessions with my ex every single week because I knew how hard it was for them to be in a relationship with someone who has PMDD and who's figuring it out. And then I also had to do the work on myself. So go get those PMDD relationship reset sessions and just commit going into this new year. Again, not saying to break up with your partner, but do set yourself up for success in your PMDD relationship to get the love, the attention, the validation that you desire and deserve, that it's authentic. Not that your partner feels pressure to give you, not that your partner's just being loving because they feel like if not, they're going to get punished. No one wants to be with someone where they feel like the partner is being pressured to be loving or pressured to be affectionate or pressured to do this. You want to know that your partner is authentically desiring to be with you, that your partner authentically wants to be there, and that they can stop walking on eggshells. So get those PMDD relationship reset sessions and know that I am here for you. I love you. I understand you. And I'm not even doing this episode to make you feel bad about yourself. I am doing this episode that you understand that this behavior can happen consciously or subconsciously. Again, like I told you in the beginning, I didn't think that what I was doing was abusive. I thought it was just the way I was suffering in PMDD, and I made it all about PMDD and not about my partner. But when you're in a relationship, you cannot put the focus so much on PMDD that you are neglecting your partner. You have to take your partner into consideration for everything that you're doing because they are very much impacted by everything that you are going through. And this is not to make you feel bad, not to make you, feel down on yourself. It's the way of saying, you know what? I'm not, again, don't go to PMDD as far as saying, oh, I'm going to just look for a cure for PMDD. Just do the oophorectomy, take PMDD away, and then I'll stop exhibiting this behavior. A lot of times the traumatic events have already happened. So even if you get to this realm of going on this journey of trying to cure PMDD or make it go away or all these things, the damage has already been done. You need to uncover a lot of those traumatic events because it's still going to impact your relationship. Any journey that you go when you're messing with your hormones and you're doing all these things, it's going to impact your relationship. Your partner's not going anywhere. Your PMDD symptoms can fluctuate. You can have good months, you can have bad months. Your PMDD symptoms can be all over the place. Your partner's still there. So this is what I'm saying. Invest in your PMDD relationship. You need to be having, if you have PMDD, you need to be having sessions, private sessions with me on a weekly basis. I would say at a minimum, like what Chris was saying about leaving PMDD untreated, if I don't see you at least once a month, once, I would say twice a month, once during the follicular phase and once during the luteal phase. If I don't see you at least twice a month, that your PMDD symptoms are being untreated in the realms of your PMDD relationship. So go get those PMDD relationship reset sessions. And until next time, we got this. I love you. I hope these tools help you and your PMDD partner. If you have not enrolled to get the course, My Partner Has PMDD, now what? Then you want to make sure that you are one of the first 12 individuals that gets the course for the month of December to get that complimentary private session with me. And then after that, it'll go back to regular price without the private sessions. But what this course is going to do for you is give your partner all of the tools that they need on how to be a supportive PMDD partner. What does that look like? I always say that your partner doesn't need more information. They need more implementation. They need more transformational tools. And this is the program for you. So I'm looking forward to you getting those tools in the program. And until next episode, we got this.